the light would shine through and it would be born of the actions of millions and millions of young people.
Varshini Prakash and her youth organization Sunrise Movement are changing the politics of the climate crisis. Sunrise gained national attention for their sit-in with AOC at Nancy Pelosi's office in 2018 and for confronting Dianne Feinstein in her office in 2019, helping to put the Green New Deal at the center of climate discourse in America. By prioritizing the intersections of climate change with race, poverty, and criminal justice, Sunrise is working to build a more sweeping movement for change. What was the moment that you decided to start Sunrise Movement?
It was sort of at the tail end of the Obama years. And a lot of young people were feeling like there was a burgeoning and growing climate movement. We had tackled some big wins like the Keystone XL pipeline and secured the first major international climate policy. And at the same time, we were seeing climate disasters worsening. We were seeing all of these UN climate reports getting worse and worse. And we were realizing our movements were absolutely not powerful enough to change politics as we knew it. Sunrise was created really as a metaphor at the beginning of the Trump administration. It reflected this feeling that so many young people felt of really being in a dark time in America, of seeing white supremacy and white nationalism, this president who was calling the climate crisis a Chinese hoax. And Sunrise felt like the metaphor that we needed in our lives, that one day we would get through these dark times and the sun would rise again and the light would shine through and it would be born of the actions of millions and millions of young people.
What were you thinking or feeling during your sit-in at Nancy Pelosi's office?
I remember just shaking with the intensity of what was going on. I think it was nervousness. I think it was excitement. I think it was a feeling of power and agency, a feeling that we were coming together to proactively send a message about what the Democratic Party should be and who it should stand for. I remember feeling really resolved. And I remember asking the question over and over again, what is your plan to tackle the climate crisis? And knowing that that was the right question in my heart.
If you had the ability to replace Hail to the Chief with any song you wanted, what would it be?
The only one that comes to my brain is Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. That might be because it's my favorite song in the world. I just love it. It's like, whenever I'm feeling angsty or just pissed about the world or just like want to find my place in this or regain my confidence, I just like put that song on blast and jump around and headbang to it, and it makes me feel a lot better.
What's the biggest problem the climate movement has right now?
We've really come out of a legacy of a lot of environmental racism, of this sense that environmentalism is for middle class, upper middle class, educated white people. And in many ways, organizations past have excluded and not built solidarity with many of the Black and Brown and Indigenous and working class and poor people who have been driving this nation forward on a lot of environmental issues. If the climate movement cannot figure out how to invest in and develop the leadership of more Black and Brown people, if we can't figure out how to speak across race and class lines and communicate the story of the climate crisis, not in terms of carbon dioxide or all of these inanimate things, but about people's lived experiences and the things that they need most in their lives, I don't think we're going to be able to win.
If a political genie allowed you to enact one but only one law, what would it be?
I would try for as much sweeping democracy reform as possible in an effort to make elections far more accessible and democratic and allow for us to legislate and pass the many, many pieces of policy that I know we need to solve the climate crisis.
In what ways has Biden impressed you so far?
The ways that I have seen him mirror the language and the frame of what a lot of movement activists and organizers have been saying for years has been powerful. The connection between jobs and climate is a critical intervention in the ways in which jobs versus environment have historically been pitted against each other. That being said, I think he has a long way to go in enacting the reforms that he proposed on the campaign trail and that we pushed and took action to get him to raise his ambition on.
In what ways has Biden disappointed you so far?
Just seeing the immediate reduction in the ambition that he is willing to pursue. I have seen Biden attempting to negotiate with a GOP that has proclaimed to be climate deniers, that has forcefully stated that they will block him at every single turn. And it's frustrating when young people see that Democrats have the majority and we might not have it for a long time. And it feels as though they might squander it because they are unwilling to use the power that they have to get what we need to secure a livable future for all of us.
What do young people understand about America that politicians might not?
Young people today are living at the logical conclusion of a busted economic system that has created astronomical economic inequality, that has allowed for gun violence and mass incarceration to explode, that has allowed for the climate crisis to grow unfettered. Young people are just in the midst of so many different crises that are intersecting all at once. And we don't live single issue lives. We care about ending mass incarceration and the school to prison pipeline. We care about stopping climate change. We care about stopping the detention of migrants. And I think that allows for us to fight for a vision and a future that includes everybody, that doesn't exclude people from the solutions that we're fighting for. And I think that's the hardest thing about going up to our politicians who are several generations older than us or other adults and hearing people say, well, the first thing on the chopping block is jobs and unionization, or seeing that the first thing on the chopping block is the provisions around racial justice. And I think our generation is saying, absolutely not. In this new green economy that we build, it must work for Black and Brown people. It must employ formerly incarcerated people. It must house every unhoused person in this nation and guarantee everyone the right to a good job and housing. And so I think this is one of the key differences of our generation.
How much power does your generation have in America, and how will you get more of it?
I think our generation has the power to be the best storytellers, to communicate in live time what it will look like for us to take on the responsibility of the world and the generations above us duty to really leave us a world that is salvageable, that we can thrive in, not just have to survive in. Our generation is passionate, is tenacious, is learning so much on the internet and in classrooms and figuring out politics in a way that honestly, like, I never did when I was a teenager, like some of these folks are doing. Every single fight to create progress in America in the past has the power to move us forward. And that is something that cannot be squandered. And I see a lot of kids who feel sad or demoralized. And I think our greatest threat is that people don't realize the immense power that we can have if we come together and organize. I will say, I think we need a lot more power in America. I don't think Sunrise has it yet. I don't think other organizations have it yet. I think we need the power, like in the New Deal, to be able to make thousands of strikes happen that halt business as usual until we get the action that we need for our people. I think we need the ability to organize in communities across America. I think we need the ability to train tens of thousands of young people and do deep political education and bring so many more young people into the fold and give them the tools to empower their communities. We've got a long way to go, but I'm ready for that fight, and I hope people join me.